Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Tuesday, October the 27th. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am here to go over a really juicy, fired up, excited for 10-game NBA main slate with some outstanding matchups, some big edges, and we think we're going to go after this big time here in the DFS world today. Real quickly, as we're jumping in, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, give us a little comment or a question, anything. We really appreciate that. That really helps us move up the chart on YouTube to get the word out to more people. Also, hit that little bell button in the upper corner there. That alarm or alert button will let you know when any of our podcasts post. And we have free podcasts in front of the paywall in basketball, baseball, football, and golf. So you'll want to check all of those out for sure. All right, we're not going to waste any time. We have 10 big games to get through, and we're going to dive right in. First game on the slate. It is a 7 p.m. Eastern game. It is the 3-1 Charlotte Hornets at the 1-3 Orlando Magic. Right now, Charlotte is favored by 6. And the over-under in this game is 216.5. As far as injuries go, we've had Terry Rozier out for quite some time, and he is doubtful again today, so I don't think he's going to play. He hasn't played yet. And we also know P.J. Washington is out. So two starters basically for them, so we'll have to go through that team. Orlando, we know they've been banged up all year, but getting some decent play from their youngsters. We know that Michael Carter-Williams is out. Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, Etuan Moore, Chuma Okeke, all out. So let's talk a little bit about this game, see what the implied totals look like, and then dive into what looks very doable here for a lineup. And we can be very picky today with 10 games. You got 20 teams on the slate. So, your selections really can't afford a bad one. Just one can throw off the whole lineup. So let's try to weed those out as we go through. All right. Again, the implied total for this game, we have the Charlotte at 112.25 and Orlando at 106.75. From the standpoint of price, LaMelo Ball's been terrific. He's been consistent, and he's played, just a real all-around game. He is a stats master for DFS. He is all the way up to 8.1 on DK. The prices I'll go over on DK, and we also supply here at Coach Talk for Fanduel and Yahoo, but easier just to talk on one price as we go through so many games. LaMelo definitely is a pay up option here. Orlando's defense is young. They are giving up a lot of points. So I think LaMelo is strictly in play here. He is one of your pay ups at 8-1 if you do want to go there, but very well worth it. Kelly Oubre has been the guy that's filled in that spot with Rozier out. He's up to 5.7. Definitely inconsistent, as we all know. Oubre has always been. He can have a really high ceiling, but he can have a very low floor. So more of a guy that I'm looking at as a GPP play, but not off the board. Gordon Hayward is sub 7K, which is fair. He's 6.9. He is their go-to guy. He really is. And big shots and sequences, they run a lot of plays for him. So I think it keeps Gordon Hayward in play. Miles Bridges has been really the surprise star of this team. He's led them in scoring. He got a Player of the Week honors, but he's all the way up to 7.2, so still barely in that mid-level, but certainly a guy you can consider the way he's consistently played. But again, there is risk there. High ceiling now. He's proven that this year, but still, a mid-level floor. But he's going to get big minutes. He is the main interior guy for them. Mason Plumlee is the other starter at 6'5", can get you a lot of rebounds, some interior scoring, but with the double bigs Orlando has with Carter and Bamba, I'm not going to quite go there. But Charlotte's a good DFS team all of a sudden. Their bench is okay. Ish Smith has been terrific. And Cody Martin gets some time. Jalen McDaniels. Without Rozier, it definitely screws up the rotation. But their main players are getting a lot of run. So, this Borrego's, notched it up. And, the reason they're winning some games is because he is getting more minutes for those guys. So not out of the question for me on Ball, Oubre, Hayward, or Bridges. And I know that's a lot of guys for game one. But, if the price fits, the position fits, I think those guys all have potential. On the Orlando side, Cole Anthony, he's been a stud, man. He's had that monster game. Then he regressed a bit, but you had to expect that. He is up to 6.1K, which hurts. He was cheaper and definitely a more value play, but he is the key guy that's making that team go. And I think a home game, he's comfortable, not a bad play, but a little expensive. Jalen Suggs still waiting for him to blow up. He's only 5K, and he had one really good game, but inconsistency, as you'd expect with a rookie. Same thing with Franz Wagner. I've used him a few times. He's 4.8K now. He was cheaper than that, and it was much more valuable as a value play. And then the other two guys you can consider. So Orlando now, even though they're not that great of a team, they're young, they do use some of their bench. Coming off the bench, you get Terrence Ross, who had a ridiculous fourth quarter the other day, RJ Hampton, Gary Harris, Mo Wagner, even a little bit of Rolo and Iggy. So their bench is deep, and the fact that they all contribute makes it hard to play these guys unless they're super value. And now that the price is floating up on all of them, really Suggs probably is the only guy you could say is a really good value, but there's risk with that. But Anthony, Suggs, Wagner, Carter, and Bamba, I really like Orlando going forward. And on the right slate, I'm not afraid to play them. But the 219 over-under is not great. There's going to be a lot of sharing of the ball there. Anthony, if you want to pay up, Suggs, if you're looking for the cheaper play. But they just don't quite make it for me. This game, as much as I think it's a good game with some good players, Ball if I'm going to pay up, but and Bridges if I'm going to pay mid-level, and then either Anthony or Suggs probably on the Orlando side. But not a game I just want to dispel. I want some, definitely a little bit of ownership from this game. All right, let's go back and go to game 2, and that is a 7:30 Eastern time game. It is Washington at 2-1 against Boston at 2-2. Boston is a 4.5-point favorite, and the over/under is 225 flat. As far as injuries, Raul Neto for Washington is a game time decision. Out is Bryant, Gill, Hashimura, and Winston, as they have been. And then for Boston, you've got a probable tag on Horford and a questionable tag on Romeo Langford. So let's talk about this game a little bit. The over-under implied for Washington is 110, Boston 114.5. So Vegas expecting this to be a decent scoring game up and down. Certainly a lot of options here. I mean, you've got the Spencer Dinwiddie option, which he has floated up to 7.1. You can go way up if you want to go with Bradley Beal. He's at 9.2. So that creates, or do you want to use that pay up there? I'm not going to because of the Brown and Tatum defense on the other side. I know Beal can blow up at any time, but just not going to go there. After that, Kuzma's floated up to 6.8. He's played better. Not really crazy about the timeshare with Gafford and Harrell. And then they're using a lot of their bench. Advia, Bertans, Neto, if he plays, Holiday, Kispert. I mean, they're going pretty deep and, seem to be getting into a groove with about a 10-man rotation. So, Dinwiddie possibility, Kuzma at that 6.8 has been solid, but not totally consistent. So probably not going to be real strong on the Washington side. As far as Boston goes, when Tatum and Brown play, it always stings me because either one of them can be the main guy for them on any given night. And those two are the two dominant players. They are, however, getting more support than they did last year. And that's to be noted because as good as Brown and Tatum are, there's 7.8 for Brown, which is not bad, 9.1 for Tatum, reasonable enough. But again, Smart is still contributing. But the big differences are Al Horford and Robert Williams. I mean, they didn't have that type of contribution last season, and all of the load fell on Brown and Tatum's shoulders. You're seeing more of that this year, though, with Horford and Williams stepping up, and then Schroeder off the bench, who they didn't have last year either. So, what it does for me is it lowers the Boston guys a bit. And when they're all playing and they're all healthy, I think it's very difficult to go there. Washington, again, not a great defensive team. I do like the 114.5 implied for Boston. I just don't know where I want to go with that. Don't know if I have the courage at 5.8 to play my man Horford, who scares me. I would not have said I thought I would play him at all this year. So it's pretty shocking that I'm considering him. And then Robert Williams at 6.3. I do love his energy and the way he plays the game, but it's hard. It's tough. There's only so many positions here. And, this is not going to be a big game for me, highly owned. Depending on the pricing, if I can fit one of these guys, I'll make it happen. If not, then I'll move on to one of the later games. All right, let's go to game 3. We're going to keep up a pace today, no matter what. We're getting after this and getting it done so everybody can listen at lunchtime or throughout the day. Certainly want to give everybody a chance to listen before lock. Atlanta Hawks 2-1, and New Orleans Pelicans 1-3. As far as the spread here, Atlanta by 6, only a 219 over under. You've got injury-wise probable for Hunter, questionable for Gallinari and Lou Williams, and Okongwu is out. Josh Hart remains questionable, and Zion, we know, is out due to overeating McDonald's. No, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I'm not exactly svelte myself, so hang in there, Zion. I'm rooting for you, man. All right, let's look at the implied total of this game. And where are we at here? There we are. Okay, it's 112.5 for Atlanta, 106.5 for the Pelicans. And, interesting. Atlanta looks good most of the time. They did throw a clunker up there the one game. Trae Young is always a possibility here, and I sort of like him today. I hate to say it. $9K, though, is a lot of money. Just not thrilled with Graham and Nickeil Alexander-Walker defense. If Josh Hart plays, he may get some time on Young, but he's very questionable, not 100%. So Trae's in play for me today. I'm not the best at hitting Trae on his good games, so he's one of those couple of players in the league that make me a little nervous, but I do like the matchup, and he has been hot. And as long as he keeps the turnovers down, especially on FanDuel, where you really get penalized at full point, he's getting all the other stats. He's been getting a bunch of assists, just contributing and scoring. So he's in play for me. I'm sour on Bogdanovich. DeAndre Hunter, I like a lot at 4.7. However, he's not completely healthy. I'm not sure he's going to get that extra run. There's two value plays here. Both bigs for Atlanta are cheap. I mean, you got Collins at 6'3" and Capella at 6'5". That's about as cheap as you're going to get on those two guys. So both worth consideration here. Not going to load up on both of them as far as the bigs, but I could see this being a key game for me and coming out of here with Young and Collins or Young and Capella, leaning a little more towards Young and Collins. But I like this game. With Hunter back, it takes a blow to Reddish and Herter. Herter stepped up, had a good game the last game. They both get a lot of minutes, especially with Gallinari continuing to be out. Zhang's the gorgeous Zhang is the backup center. And, if Lou Williams is questionable, they really haven't gotten the rookie Jalen Johnson much into the mix. But, yeah, I'm going to have Atlanta exposure here. I like this side of the ball for them. And I'm hoping with that spread only being 6 and it at the Pelicans that they can keep it close, that we're going to get full run out of the Hawks. As far as the Pelicans side, they are a very tough team to figure out here early on. You get some really good games for Joe Val. He's 8-2, which is a little too pricey. But Brandon Ingram, I mean, if I'm going to load up on the Atlanta side with 2 key guys, I almost feel like I have to play BI because he is 8.5, which is expensive, but he is the man there. He really is, and he's awesome. And if it stays close, he's going to get most of the shot attempts. So really high on him today, looking at him as a really good play. Now, if I get completely stuck money-wise, I can look at Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but his price is just too high. It's 6.9. I mean, he was so cheap early on that it made it very reasonable. But at that price, it's very difficult. And then their bench is just, a mixture. Murphy, Temple, Hayes, Marshall. I mean, Sato's coming off the bench. Then they're getting a lot of minutes for this Herb Jones. He's a guy, if you want to roll the dice in the GPP, he's only 3.3. Sometimes he starts. If Hart's still out, maybe he gets the start again. I mean, he's okay, but I don't have the courage in building cash and hybrid. I wish I did at 3.3, but I watched him play some. He's okay, but nothing that, I think has a really high ceiling. So for me, it's just main guys in this game. I think it's going to be the key is just going after, some of these heavy hitters. All right. We go to game 4, the Miami Heat and Brooklyn Nets. That's a game I want to watch. It's the Heat at 2-1, Nets at 2-2. Brooklyn is a 4-point home favorite. This should be a hotly contested game for sure. Over-under is only 218 as Miami's defense is respected. With Brooklyn's high scoring, though, sort of like the over in that game, I think both teams are going to play well. So that's going to be a very interesting matchup. Let's look at the implied totals here and break down. Heat are 107.5, Brooklyn 111.5. Now, you could spend all your money in this game without question, and tempting to do that. But I don't know if I mentioned the injuries. I don't believe I did. Oladipo, we know, remains out, and Irving remains out. That's why I didn't mention it, because everybody, unless you're living under an NBA rock, know those 2 guys aren't playing, but everybody else is ready to roll. So a million places you can go in this game, and I think it'll be a pivotal game for a lot of people. The total's not that great, and I do respect defense there on the Miami side. So do you spend up $10K for Harden or $10.5K for Durant when you have 2 super studs in the lineup against a Miami team that's really good defensively? I'm not going to go there. I don't think Harden is completely right. I went with him last time. I thought he'd step it up. He was fine. He just didn't have Harden crazy, 40-point triple-double kind of stuff. I think the new rules are bothering him a lot. He's the guy that it's affected the most. I think Trae Young, it's going to hurt a little bit. Luka, it's going to hurt a little bit. But Harden's sort of the poster boy for stepping in, pushing in, non-basketball moves, in essence, to get fouls. He just has made a living off of that. And now that they're calling them against him offensively, I think it's blown his mind a little bit. So just that slight step back. Again, he could break the chart, break the slate, but at 10K, I'm just not willing to go there. 10.5K for Durant when he's going to get that PJ Tucker harassment. And, Tucker was on the Nets last year, so he's going to want to really get up and play hard. And he's got Bam and Jimmy Butler. I mean, Miami can defend, man. And so just not going to spend up. I've also, not crazy about all of the subs here. Bruce Brown, very inconsistent minutes. I've gotten burned, so I'm staying away from the likes of Joe Harris, Blake Griffin, Nicholas Claxton. Claxton got it done for me the other day, but it was very stressful. And I'm just the timeshare with all those guys playing a good Miami defense just doesn't excite me. From the Miami side, though, I think it's a little bit of a different story. You're going to get good tempo with Brooklyn, not the best defense in most positions. And, it puts some guys in play. Kyle Lowry's back. He's 7.3, but I don't know if he's 100% healthy. He does probably get Bruce Brown defense if Brown is in there. Again, you don't know. Patty Mills, anybody could be in there for a good chunk of the time. So not sure. Duncan Robinson too inconsistent. And PJ Tucker's a great defender, but not ever going to make my team as far as very seldom, unless it's a bunch of guys out. The three guys I want to talk about from Miami, I think, I want to play at least one of these guys, and I have to see how my build goes as the day goes on. But Jimmy Butler's 8'8". Bam is 7'9", so sub 8 for a guy that's been kicking butt. And Tyler Hero's up to 6.7, but the way he's playing, he's been a stronger player than that. So those are the three guys that I really like here. Almost wouldn't mind having two of the three if I can afford them, but I still have to find some value. And I know a lot of value is going to open up as the news comes out during the day. But I'm going to have some Miami Heat exposure here. And, more than likely leaning towards either Bam or Hero, but possibly a Jimmy Butler. We'll see how that rolls. All right. We go on to the fifth game on the slate. So we're going to be halfway through. We've got another 7:30 Eastern game. Indiana Pacers 1-3. Raptors 1-3. So not great starts for either one, although Pacers games, they've lost by 1 point on pretty much all their losses. It is Toronto by 1, 218.5, not a spectacular over-under. Injuries, we know that TJ Warren is still out, but we do have an upgraded questionable tag on Karis LeVert. That is news that we absolutely have to have because that changes everything in this game for Indiana. If LeVert's in, then all of a sudden Brogdon and Duarte become no plays for me because just the usage, and even if they just bring LeVert back for 20, 25 minutes, it's still going to mess up that rotation and the scoring. So I need that news before I decide on any of the players from Indiana. Sabonis, of course, is always going to be playable. As far as the injuries, though, for Toronto, it's Siakam and Watanabe. All right, or Watanabe. Either way, I like to say them both for everybody so everybody's happy. All right, let's talk about this game a little bit because we need to do a little bit of thinking here because, again, Brogdon at 8'3", Duarte's only 5'6", Sabonis, the big pay up at 9'9". If LeVert plays at 7'7", do you trust him initially jumping in there? It's a tough call, man. That is a tough call because he is so good. But, I just think first game back, they've got to have some restrictions, I'm sure. Turner want nothing to do with him. I suffered through that pick last time he played. I don't like Turner. I never have, and that was not fun. So for me, you can if LeVert doesn't play, then Duarte at 5'6", he's just been such a ball dominant player for a guy that's a rookie. I mean, he's getting shots. He took 21 shots 2 games ago. They went to him at the buzzer for a game-winning shot. So he becomes in play. But if LeVert comes in there, it's going to steal his thunder big time. So we need to keep a close eye on that. From the Toronto side, Van Vliet, 7.8, reasonable for the leader of that team. I think OG Anunoby's still too cheap. He's really shown to be the guy that's picked up a lot of the slack from last year with Lowry leaving. He's only 6'5", which I think is very doable. and he is high on my list. Scotty Barnes is up to 6, so, not sure there. Gary Trent's trending in the right direction, but 4.8, not sure I want to go there. The bench, really, you have Achua and Birch and now Boucher splitting minutes, so that sours that big man spot for me with the Raptors. After that, just, Dragic, Haluk, those guys, not playable. So, a possibility of a pacer, a player, depending on that news with LeVert. And then Raptors, definitely Anunoby. Wouldn't mind having Van Vliet in a lineup or two. All right, before we get to game 6 and get halfway through this, are we at game 6? Let's see. We are through 5. Yes. So we've got 5 more games to go. I love these big slates, by the way. I know a lot of people, you'll hear everybody in the industry say it's too many games, too much to look at. And they want those nice little cozy 5, 6, 7 game slates. For me, I'd take a 15 game slate every night. I love the double digits. I think the more randomness and the more you have to look into it and build it, the better. If you're just dumping everything into an optimizer and building from there, then, I get why that you would, that would agitate you, because it's a lot more sorting and figuring out those percentages. But if you're hand building and you can find those nuggets throughout all these games, which we're definitely trying to do, you can really be ahead of the game. So we'd love to have you join us. Go to dfscoachtalk.com. We have as little as a 3-day pass for $10, a 5-day pass for $19. All different ways you can look at it. We're crushing it in all our sports. We have a great partnership with PFF, Pro Football Focus. They are partnered with us in football, so we're getting all their statistics. We post a lot of information from a lot of our partners, like Fantasy Labs for the NBA, Sports Data IO we utilize. So, we do hand build here, and we're not strictly, but certainly looking for the cash and hybrid, which when we say hybrid, we're talking about the small entry, single entry GPPs, 3 max GPPs. We want to build lineups that we can put in here and have one-on-one shots to beat everybody. You still can utilize all of our information if you're a 150 max entry builder. I mean, we're still putting all of that information into our what we're providing. So, it is a one-stop shop for everything, but for the normal DFS player, and the normal DFS player to me doesn't play 10 grand a night and max enter all the 150 contests. I think, that is the exception. But for, the people that try to put one lineup in those 150 maxes, you might as well go buy the Powerball ticket, because it's just too tough. So, we're trying to realistically build bankroll here, and we work with all of our members specifically on bankroll management, contest selection, and then we're building everything by hand every day. And we supply a really strong coaches clipboard with a highlighted group of players for DraftKings. We stay within their guidelines. And then FanDuel and Yahoo, you're going to get both a cash/hybrid, which again, that's for 50-50s, double ups, single entries, maybe even a 3 max entry. We're going to give a full lineup for that on FanDuel and Yahoo. And then we will, for those that want to take some shots at the big money GPPs, we'll supply a GPP lineup on both FanDuel and Yahoo. So we would love to have you come and join us. If you want to check us out on Twitter first, we're all at DFS Coach Talk. From the basketball side, I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. We also have Andrew at Language Olympic, and we also have our man Josh at GP Davis 1982. I think I finally got that right. So you can check us all out there. Again, if you're watching we just asked real quickly, if you're watching this on YouTube, thumbs up, quick subscribe, give us a good little comment or question. Super, super appreciate that. It allows us to move up the scale there and keep this in front of the paywall, which we do 7 days a week. And the last thing, audio-wise, if you're listening to us there, we have a contest And there's only 4 days left. In 4 days, we draw for a full access 1-week membership to Coach Talk. If you're listening to us audio-wise, everywhere podcasts can be heard, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, anywhere. Take a second, 5 stars, give us a comment. All you have to do, rate and review, and you're getting to that drawing. Our man Joe Stanton will pick out a random draw in 4 days, and they'll get a free full week membership with Coach Talk. All right, that's it. I appreciate you guys sticking with me through that. Now we go to game 6 as we get into the 8 p.m. starts. We have 2 of those, and then we have 3 late slate games tonight. We may have to provide an after hours 3-gamer for our members. I'm going to add that for the members that are listening. I'll add that to our daily schedule. You get a daily schedule with us. We don't throw any surprises at you. You know what's coming. We really methodically try to just dissect this DFS world, piece by piece and do it strategically. So join us. We'd love to have you. All right, Minnesota Timberwolves 2-1. Milwaukee Bucks of Mr. Josh Crash Davis, they're 3-1. And as far as the spread, Milwaukee -7, still no over/under just yet. But hopefully that will be out, or we can look for another spot if there's an early one out for that. Injuries, none for Minnesota reported. We do have the possibility of getting 2 guys back that have been out so far this season. That's Ogilvy and Portis. Both are probable for Milwaukee. Remaining out, though, and these are biggies, 3 starters, man. DiVincenzo, Holiday, and Lopez out. So that does change things for sure in this game completely. So let's take a look at this. We do have an over-under here. It's 228.5. Ding, 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 as they say. We have one of our winners at 228.5. It is the second highest on the board, and that sounds good to me. So 110.75 Minnesota, 117.75, big implied total for the Bucks. All right, is it Giannis or not Giannis tonight? 10.8. I think it's Giannis night. I think he's the buy-up guy. He deserves it. Now, there is one thing, though, I will say here. 10.8 is a ton on a slate this big. And he's got 2 players back that were out in Portis and Ogilvy that can help and also take some rebounds away from him inside. So that doesn't make it like slam dunk, smash him in everywhere. It's over with. But he's got to be one of the most highly considered guys, because if he throws one of his 80 burgers up there, trying to chase that number becomes almost impossible. So even at 10.8K, the possibilities of him going 7X or whatever, it's there. So strong consideration. I mean, I'm not locking it in yet. I got to see how all the lineup comes together. But, Giannis against this Minnesota team that is not a good defensive team is very, very tempting. All right, let's look at it from the Minnesota side. You have possibilities here, but again, you've got a big 3 that have developed, and it's killer trying to play them all. D'Angelo 7-1, Edwards 7-7, and Cat at 10-1. So, Cat's been very solid. You obviously can't pay up for all these guys. I would favor Giannis over Cat in this matchup, although Cat has been a monster. The other 2 guys, just a little pricey. When you're north of 7 on this slate and there's some splitting of responsibility, but I'll tell you, though, not having Holiday is a definite plus for Russell and Edwards, because if one of them are on the floor, you're going to be missing that defense where, the shutdown kind of guy that Holiday is. So, and DiVincenzo's a fine defender. He's been out forever. But, it makes it tough. I would like some exposure. It's a 228.5 over-under. So you want to have some exposure on that Minnesota side. If push came to shove and I had to roster one of them right now, it would probably be Anthony Edwards. I just think his ceiling becomes crazy at times. And if this is an up and down game, you're going to need a piece from Minnesota. On Milwaukee's side, it's the Giannis show, of course. I mean, having Holiday out makes me want to play Middleton though, and I'm more than likely going to go there again. And my theory is this, and it's really unfolded that way on several occasions. When Holiday is out, and I don't think a lot of people are paying that close attention to this, they're thinking, okay, that means Hill, Allen, Noir, the Connaughton, those guys are going to have the biggest lift. I really think it's Middleton, and the usage piece goes to him and the ball handling. And he's an adept passer. He has proven that he has really improved. That's the area he's improved the most that I think is taking him to that all-star level. He could always score the ball, but he was a wing player, didn't have the ball in his hands a lot. But now he dictates that offense, especially when Holiday's out. Holiday still maintains that point guard role when he's in there. But I'll take Middleton, at that mid-level. 7.8's getting close to not being in the mid-level anymore, and he's gone up. But he deserves it because he's going to score the ball. And, Minnesota doesn't have a great defensive matchup for him. Okogie's probably going to play him some, but that's going to be a tough matchup, for him to guard Middleton. Middleton can, again, handle the ball so far away from the basket that he becomes really playable. So can you play Middleton and Giannis? I did last time. It worked out. They were great. I can't do it on this slate. Not with 20 teams playing. You cannot afford to put all your eggs in that basket, in my opinion. Now, you may be able to do that. I know everybody in DFS is from that world of stack. Well, you got to stack in baseball. You got to stack in football. But in basketball, it really can hurt you. There's so much usage to go around. You have to one-off these teams all over the place. In my opinion, again, it's not the regular school of thought, but I don't like to put all the salary eggs or 2 players or 3 players from one team in any cash hybrid lineup. For me, it's just too risky because you're really eating away you're cannibalizing your own potential lineup. So it's more important, like in this situation for me, I'm going to make the tough decision between Middleton and Giannis as the day goes on and I build it out and see what my salary looks like, because Giannis is 3,000 clean over Middleton. 3K is a lot. So got to look at that, but I definitely will have one of those guys in my lineup for sure. All right. Los Angeles Lakers 2-2 against the Oklahoma City Thunder 0-4. LA Lakers, exciting overtime game last night. How much are they going to have in the tank for this game? They're only going to need about a quarter of a tank, in my opinion. The Thunder stink, man. They're lousy. But, what does that mean for this game? That's going to be the $1 million question. Right now, the Lakers are a 9.5 point favorite. We'll look at the over-under on chart 2 here. Injuries, Oklahoma City, they're all like 18 years old. You don't get injured when you're 18, and nobody's out for them. Lakers, however, are the opposite. They're basically the age of the dads of all the Thunder players. So it's, you've got questionable tags on both Davis and James. Davis bumped his knee at the end of the game yesterday, which we all know, and I don't mean to be negative for Davis and Lakers fans, but a little bump on the knee for him could be a week. So we need to keep a close eye on that. LeBron sat out the last game, I think, because of a back-to-back. He's listed as questionable. I think he plays. My opinion, and the way I'm going to prepare this slate, and I could be wrong, so we got to follow throughout the day. Join us in Discord. We'll follow it. I think Davis sits and LeBron plays. They certainly don't need both of them against this Thunder team. They probably don't need either of them, to be honest with you. But I think LeBron plays. He was looking dapper yesterday, man. I want to look like LeBron. He's ripped. He had the cool clothes on, the probably $500,000 watch. He's such a badass. Anyway, as far as the breakdown on this game, injury wise, so other than that, Ariza, Taylor Horton Tucker, and none remain out. So they're a little thinner than they normally would be. Everybody on earth is going to just dive on Russell Westbrook. He's back. He had a Russell Westbrook game. He did have an awesome dunk toward the end. I would be careful here, though, because they could easily blow out the Thunder, especially if LeBron plays. And I just smell rats all over the place in this game. It scares the heck out of me. It's a 220.5 over under, 114.75 for the Lakers, 105.75 for the Thunder. So, how is this going to come down? 9-point favoritism. Lakers could easily handle them. We do need to see who's playing, who's in and out before you can make some serious, decisions. But LeBron's at 9.5. Playable again. I'm just afraid of blowout city here. AD, I think he'll sit, but he's listed at 9.7. Russ is 9.3. So everybody's going to think, ooh, he's cheaper. He's sub 10. It's Westbrook. He's back. I know he went absolutely bananas yesterday, and I've been saying it on here. I'm just not comfortable rostering him every day like we used to because of this inconsistency with the Lakers lineup. And having, he's just not a third banana. And when he's in there with James and Davis, it just doesn't look right for him. Now, maybe with LeBron and if AD sits, maybe Russ can step up again. I just know I'm not going to go there because of that potential inconsistency. It's a back-to-back. He looks like he's 20 years old the way he runs and jumps, but he is not the youngest player around. And that's a consideration. Plus, does he get less minutes because of, the inability of the Thunder to put a competitive team on the floor? So I just, it's going to be run and hide for me a lot on the Lakers team here. You could go cheap and get really good games from a guy like Carmelo Anthony, 4.9. Carmelo is one of those guys that smell blood in the water. He is a shark, man. Even against a crap team, he just loves piling up the points. He'll fight and scratch and claw. He's a DFS scoring guy for sure. He's going to get you whatever he can get you. So he's in play, and then, the other guy is Malik Monk, 3.7. He really got it done for me yesterday. I think he's young enough and fresh enough, hasn't played a ton. He'll be in that rotation and if you're looking for a big value play, but I'm just not going to invest a lot in the Lakers here, just in, because of the blowout potential and the back-to-back and the age of these guys. On the other side of the ball, I think you have some playable guys. Problem is, they play a lot of guys, and that really hurts you. Shea is the key guy. He's 7.1. He'll get Kent Bazemore defense. Bazemore's a bit of a dog. He's a little underrated defensively. He can really get up under you and bother you. But Shea is tough. He's the best player on this team by a landslide. So he's playable. Dort, 4.5, just, GPP style play. Giddey has shown that he's, really improving. He's 4.8, which is reasonable. But if he has to get LeBron defense, which is better than this season than before, he's not going to get any of that interior easy stuff with Jordan and Howard and those guys floating around there. But you can consider him. Baisley's cheap at 5.1. Again, I don't like interior players against the Lakers. I know centers have a tendency to do a little bit better, but just not enough for me to go there. And then you just got massive timeshare. JRE, as they call him, Jeremiah Robinson Earl. He did fine, but he's just not going to get enough minutes. 3.7. I was impressed by his play last night, but you're going to get some Muscala, Kenrich Williams, Teo Maledon, Pokacheski, Roby. I mean, these guys are all going to play. They're so bad, so young, and so deep. When you got 11-man rotation with these guys, it makes it very hard, especially on a big slate. If it's a 3-4 game slate, you can take some shots at these guys, but not on a 10-game slate. So not going to be going any deeper there. I will consider Shea and see where we go from there. All right, we go to the next one. Sacramento Kings 1-2, Phoenix Suns 1-2. How about the Suns 1-2 with a bad start for them? No injuries listed for Sacramento. Cameron Payne and Dario Saric remain out for Phoenix. Phoenix is a 7.5-point favorite. It's a 226 over under. All right, let's look at the implieds in this game because this game is interesting. The 224.5 over number is solid, 108.25 for the Kings implied, 116.25 for Phoenix. So Phoenix is right up there on the number with some of the top guys. De'Aaron Fox, always a possibility at 8.6. I do respect Chris Paul defense, but he is awesome. Halliburton been very inconsistent, not going to go there. I'll tell you a guy that's sneaky is Harrison Barnes. Not in this game for me, but watch his stats. He's 7.5K, which seems expensive, but he's steadily been very consistent. And Rashawn Holmes at 5.9, he's always able to get the number, so you got to think about him a bit. Buddy Hield off the bench, Davion Mitchell, who's been really good off the bench. He'll come in and probably try to do the off night for Devin Booker or Paul, either one. Try to definitely pin them down. So, there are some possibilities here if you want to pay up for Fox or you want the bargain of a Holmes. But, on the Phoenix side, again, Chris Paul and Devin Booker, how much defense are they going to get from Davion Mitchell? Are they going to split it? They're 7.6 and they're 8. Respectively. So certainly in the ball game on an up-paced game, I think you could make a case for either one of them. Mikal Bridges is only 5K, which is reasonable but inconsistent. Same thing with Jay Crowder at 5.2. I think he's going to try to drape Harrison Barnes here and not let him get much. The guy I'm sour on, man, I'll just say it right out here. I put a lot of stock into DeAndre Ayton last game, and he's just he's frustrating to watch. There's certain players as an ex-coach that I just wouldn't want to coach. I don't care how talented they are. And I don't mean to sound so negative on guys, but when I see them out there and I'm putting my DFS neck on the line, I want somebody that's going to bust their ass. I want the Julius Randles. I want the Jimmy Butlers, and that's who I'd want playing for me. The guys that I just don't like to roster in DFS, and it's similar to when you're coaching. You don't want to coach them because they don't give you that extra. You can see their times they're taking plays off. And I know it's controversial, but guys like DeAndre Ayton, Michael Porter Jr., guys like that are just, I've never been in their corner because I just don't think you're getting that consistent extra effort. And I think the coaches see it. And you see those guys getting pulled, coaches getting aggravated with them. And I know it sounds like an overreaction. It's not just because Ayton had that one bad game. People on here know I've been talking about this since Michael Porter Jr. was drafted by the Nuggets. And I know he turned out to be a fine player. But here's the thing. He got paid up to his contract with incentives goes up to almost $150 million. Does that make him take the foot off the gas? That's what I've seen this year. And, if you're playing for the money, you're not going to be long-term successful in this league. So again, I know that's the old coach talking, but I approach this like I'm coaching a team, and I want my guy on the floor for the ball. I want him getting that extra rebound, that extra bucket before he gets pulled out. You can make fun of Carmelo Anthony and rostering him at this age, but I know when he's in there, if there's a bucket he can sniff out, he's going to get it. And he doesn't care if they're up 30 or down 30. And those are the kind of DFS players you want. All right, soapbox over. So, a couple of other, things in this game. I love the over-under. I think that you need to have some ownership of some exposure to this game for sure. Whether it's going down cheaper with like a Mikal Bridges or even a Rashawn Holmes, or you both are sub 6, or if you do the buy up, if you really want maybe a Fox Paul head-to-head. I'm thinking Davion Mitchell guards Booker a little bit more. I know he's a fantastic on-the-ball defender, but I think Book's the guy they're going to want to shut down. But Luke Walton is not the best coach in the league, so who knows what his matchups are going to be. All right, we're going a little long here, and I didn't want to do that, but just a lot of information that I wanted to share. 2 games left. Memphis, Portland. Grizzlies 2-1, Portland 1-2. Dylan Brooks remains out for Memphis, and that's a killer. That's their heart and soul guy. Norman Powell's questionable, which is a big thing. Tony Snell out. So we need to definitely, be concerned a little bit with Powell being out and Brooks. It affects the rotations. Portland's favored by 2.5. Big fat 234. They are the highest. So where are we going to have our exposure here? You have to have some exposure to this game. I agree. Neither one of these teams are playing great D. They're both getting up and down the floor. Two big implied totals. Memphis 115.75. Portland 118.25. Certainly can go if you want to put your chips in the bucket and say, let's go. Ja Morant, Damian Lillard, 9.6 and 9.4. Those are my two pay up guys. I don't think that's a bad play. I mean, I don't think that either one of these teams are going to be able to stop either one of those guys. So I have no problem doing that. And again, I know it's a salary related situation with whomever you're going to buy up to. But, if you do fade a Giannis or one of the guys and you can go to these two guys that are sub 10, mid nines are fair. 9.4 for Dame. There was a lot of times last year he was 10.3, 10.2. And Ja, I know this is higher number for him, but he's earned it. I mean, he's doing everything out there. He's the guy that's picked up the slack, from their missing their main guy. So, who is it? I'm trying to Dylan Brooks. So with Brooks being out, I think Morant's picked that up the most. Other than that, DeAnthony Melton on any given night, 5K, he can get it done. He can. Same thing with Desmond Bane at 4.8. I think those guys are both reasonable. Jaren Jackson, I think he gets Covington defense. I'm not going to go there at 6.6. And Steven Adams, just not consistent enough for me. Off the bench, they have Anderson, Clark, Tillman, Trey Jones, all those guys, not interested. So for me, it's really the guards, Morant, Melton, and Bane that I have interest in. On the Portland side, I think Dame at 9.4, like I said, is awesome play. CJ McCollum at 7.8. I mean, there are times where he outscores Dame, so that makes perfect sense there. With Powell still being out, or if he's back, we'll see. That's a key thing because don't know if I'll go to Powell at 5.4, but got a nice little game out of Nazir Little at 3.9. Last time out, he'll get some of those extra minutes. Roko's not getting it done for me yet. Nurkic at 6.9 is very tempting. Adams is strong, and he's going to get a lot of those boards, but Nurkic is quick. Even though he's a big guy, he has a great first step, great spin move, quick to the hoop, sort of like Nurk a little bit here. So something to keep an eye on. Definitely want to have exposure, at least one guy on each side, maybe a 2-1, because this should be the highest scoring game on the slate and really deserves ownership. All right, last game, 10:30 Eastern. So we're going to have an unbelievably full night of basketball. I love it. Cleveland 2-2, Clippers 1-2. Okoro is the one for Cleveland that is doubtful, which opens up the door for Markkanen even more. Clippers, a bunch of injuries, as we know. Preston, Morris, Leonard, Ibaka, all out. Johnson, questionable. So the spread here is Clippers by 8, 217 over under. So a big drop from these last couple of games. And, interesting, few players here, interesting, but not sure I want to go there. So let's talk about it. Darius Garland and Sexton, 6'9" and 6'5". They basically, split the role. I like playing one or the other when one of them's out, but with both of them, they're both going to get somewhat and get it done there. I do like Lauri Markkanen a bit at 5.4 with Okoro out. He's shown that he's playing with a new invigorated excitement and getting it done now that he's getting more of an opportunity than he did in Chicago. The two bigs are always, you can look at both of them all the time. Mobley is 7K, Jared Allen at 6.3, both playable commodities, though. I don't play them together, but I always look at the two of them, and if I can make one of them fit, I will. I think that they're getting big minutes. Cleveland is definitely playing their main guys, trying to stay in games. That's why they're winning a little bit. Their bench is okay. Rubio's been solid, but hard to take him at 5.7 with Garland and Sexton both playing. But then after that, you're just getting a mishmash, of Love and Osman and those guys that I'm not interested in. From the Clippers side, I do think both guards are playable here. I always pick on the Cleveland backcourt. We'll continue to do that when they're decent players and they're cheap. And I'm going to need some value here. Hopefully some value opens up as the day goes on because there's not that much of it yet. But Jackson's 6'3", Bledsoe's 5'9". I would consider either one of those guys in this matchup against that Cleveland backcourt. Paul George, obviously a terrific play. He's the usage monster for that team until Kawhi returns, if Kawhi returns, but he's 10-3. So I'll tell you, man, this is a hard slate as far as we've got literally about 10 guys that are right around, 9-5 to 11-1 or whatever the number is, that are all so incredibly in great spots. And you're probably only going to get 2 of them. So yeah, it's a rough decisions. The nice thing is there's not going to be any absolutely massive chalk on those big price guys because everybody's going to want a piece of some of the different ones. So you're not going to have to worry about being very contrarian today, even in your cash lineups. But George certainly within question. Rest of the guys, you got cheaper guys like Mann, Kennard, Batum, Zubac. Just don't want to go there in this big of a slate with this many players and teams and possibilities. So that is it, my friends. I'm sorry we went a little longer than expected. I did want to keep it under an hour, so we're under an hour. We barely made it, but we did. And I really hope this helps you a lot. We'd love to have you join us at dfscoachtalk.com. Come on, give us a try. 3 days, $10. You can't beat it. And, if you come in now, you get all of our golf PGA picks that we'll be posting tonight for the tournament this weekend. You get our MLB baseball from our man Crash for the World Series. And then, of course, all of our NBA activity. And if you sign up today, also, you get the Thursday night NFL game. So you get a little bit of everything. Just join us, comment, give us some reviews. We'd really, really appreciate that. So for the entire DFS Coach Talk team, this is Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach. Have a great day, and let's crush it in NBA DFS.